Hi, Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leisure and the Sober Curator to bring you the July 2024 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Gemini for sun and rising placements. I am trying to get my cleavage kind of out of here because it feels obnoxious. It's really hot today, and I have these halter tops that I really love wearing, but I feel like having them on video in that just feels kind of, I don't know. I'm all for cleavage. I'm not against it, but I think just staring at my own cleavage feels weird. Hi, Gemini. How are you? We are in Cancer season, and we are starting out the month with the Sun, Venus, and Mercury all in the cardinal water sign. So let's see where Cancer has been hitting for you in your horoscope. This is the area that has to do with money. So money has been a big theme for you in the last couple of weeks, and then it's still a theme heading into July. Venus passing through this area of the chart is really auspicious. It brings financial opportunities and abundance when it comes to money, but also it challenges our self-worth. We're forced to kind of reflect on whether or not we feel like we're worthy of the things that we're trying to cultivate or manifest into our material realm, our sense of security, all of that. Mercury is going to be finishing up its time here at the beginning of July. So by the 2nd of July, Mercury is actually going to be moving into the fixed fire sign of Leo. And this is going to be hitting the area of the Gemini horoscope that has to do with communication. And Mercury in Leo is a really fun energy when it comes to creative self-expression, but it can also be really fiery, intense, competitive, opinionated, immovable. A lot of Leo people are very much like, I know what I want, I know who I am, I know what I like, and I'm not going to budge on that. I'm a Leo. I don't have Mercury in Leo, so I'm actually a lot more mutable than a lot of people that have, Leo with Mercury in Leo. Like, I'm a little bit more go with the flow, but I'm still a Leo. I'm still a fixed fire sign. And so sometimes, I'll have an opinion about something where I feel really adamant, like, this is how I feel, this is what I think, and it changes. And part of that changing is the fact that I'm mutable. But the other, thing is I'll come in kind of fixed and hot. And then, it'll maybe take me a second to adjust to a different idea. And it was worse when I was younger. I had a harder time shifting when I was younger than I do now, but it does still take me a minute. And so I think, you're a Gemini, you're a mutable sign. You are able to think of a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different ideas. You're able to analyze and see big picture stuff. You're not quite as fixed as a fixed sign, unless you have a bunch of fixed energy in your chart. But, having Mercury in Leo, you might be moving more into a fixed direction with your communication style where you're like, no, I kind of know myself. I know what I want. You might be kind of articulating more of that stuff during this time. And that might be good for you. It might also bring some challenges. Like Mercury in Leo is very much like the Five of Wands card, especially in this placement of the horoscope chart for Gemini, where there can be competition with other people, creative competition, sexual competition. If you're comparing yourself a lot to other people during this time, that's something to watch out for. What is the quote? They say, like, comparison breeds, I can't remember what the quote is, but essentially you're going to be in a place where those themes are going to be reflecting a lot, especially when Mercury stations retrograde in August. So those are just things to be mindful of. Mercury in Leo can be a really positive energy when we're using it in a creative way. So if you're channeling this into your art, you're channeling it into joy, play, fun, pleasure, happiness, laughter, connecting to your inner child, that's really good. But if you take yourself too seriously and you're kind of in a state of the comparison game, the egoic competition, jealousy, frustration, feeling like you have to dominate, you have to win, those things, you're going to have some hard lessons when Mercury stations retrograde in Virgo and moves back through Leo. So those are just things to be mindful and aware of. Venus, will be blessing this area for the first couple of weeks of July in terms of your finances still. So we talked about Venus is in Cancer the first couple of weeks. So money is in a good space energetically in terms of trying to manifest it or work towards more and building more of a sense of security the first couple months of July. Mars is going to be in Taurus the first 3 weeks of July, and it's already been in Taurus for a bit for in June. And the area that this is hitting for the Gemini horoscope is the area that rules the subconscious. It's the 12th house. When Mars is passing through the subconscious, we're actually really dealing with anger and repressed anger, repressed rage. There's things from the past that could be coming back up that are triggering us in some way that we're kind of forced to have to confront and work through. And we have to be really mindful when we've got all this communication, mercurial energy with this Mars subconscious energy, because we are in a position to be triggered more easily and reactive. So those are just kind of things to be aware of, that you're kind of in this healing bubble and you are working through a lot of deep stuff from the past. Let's see here. So at the beginning of July, we also have Neptune stationing retrograde on the 2nd, so July 2nd. And Neptune stationing retrograde in Pisces at 29 degrees of Pisces. And the area of the chart that this is hitting for the Gemini horoscope is the area that has to do with your work life. So, you know, Neptune has been passing through this area for 14 years. If you think about 2012, there was a narrative that started in 2012, and we're wrapping the narrative up over the next however many months, basically until March of next year. But the retrograde that's starting now is going to be starting from July 2nd and then lasting through till December. And so we're kind of in this reflect review period. And for you, the career area, what are you doing with your work? What have you been doing the last 12 years, or I'm sorry, 14 years? And what direction do you want to move towards? Now, Neptune in Pisces isn't clear. It's still confusing. The waters still feel kind of muddy. We're still exploring and trying to figure that out. And what we need to do is get really clear on what our gut and our intuition is telling us. So this is the time to really focus on that specifically. Another thing that you might be kind of working through is, you know, more of kind of, how do you feel about the work that you're doing? Like, feelings are a big theme with Neptune and Pisces. Are you in alignment with the work that you're doing? Is there, are you of service in the way that you want to be of service? Those types of things. On July 5th, we're going to have a new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer. And so this is hitting in the area of your finances. New moons are a great time for setting intentions and manifesting things that we want into our life. And so this is a positive time for you to set intentions around your money and how you're bringing money in, also around self-worth. So if you've been feeling insecure, feel like you're having any doubts around what you feel like you're worthy of, this new moon is a really powerful time to maybe clear up that energy and tell the universe what you feel like you want to be worthy of, and, you know, how you want to manifest more abundance into your life, if that's a focus for you. It could also just be manifesting more confidence around your self-worth, those things. As the month progresses, we are going to have, let's see what comes first. Mars is going to enter Gemini on the 21st. And on that day, we also are going to have a full moon happening at 29 degrees Capricorn. So Mars entering your sign of Gemini, it leaves the subconscious and it enters the first house of your identity, where it's going to be until September. Mars rules the first house, so this isn't a negative placement for Mars. However, it does really push us to want to go after what we want. We become more self-oriented. We can become more assertive, more aggressive. There can be a little bit more conflict in how we're relating to ourselves. We can be a little bit selfish during this time. Those are things to watch out for. The full moon hitting on this day at 29 degrees of Capricorn. This is hitting in the area of your chart that represents your home, I believe. Let's see. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is shared resources. So you had a full moon on June 21st. Whatever was coming up for you around June 21st, we're now in an extension of it, July 21st. So June 21st, we had a full moon at 1 degree Capricorn. This is a really positive time to call in things and manifest things. Now we're in a position with this next full moon on July 21st, where this is a really positive time to look at releasing and letting go of something. So a lot of themes around that when it comes to shared resources, the way that you relate to money, sex, rebirth, transmutation of energy. It's the 8th house themes, very abstract kinds of ideas with spirituality, but there's also tangible things like loans, investments, taxes, inherited money from people. And so if there's certain dynamics around those themes that you are ready to walk away from, this is a good cord cutting frequency for you. On the 22nd, we are going to have the sun entering Leo. I feel like I might have forgotten to talk about Venus entering Leo. Venus enters Leo on July 11th and joins the Leo party with Mercury. And then on the 22nd of July, the sun enters Leo. And where all the Leo energies hits for you is that house of communication. Venus entering Leo on the 11th is really good for that mercurial energy, especially because it makes a harmonious sextile to Gemini. Leo and Gemini make really positive aspects to each other. So this is really good for more harmony in communication and more understanding, more fun, more joy, more pleasure. And the sun here highlights all of that as well. So that should, kind of bring more of an oomph to kind of how you're communicating and how you're expressing yourself, maybe gaining more confidence around how you express yourself. You have to be mindful with Leo energy though, because there can also be that competitive seeking, desperate seeking for validation in the wrong places, codependent kind of dynamics, that type of stuff. Mercury is going to enter Virgo on the 25th, and we're going to be in the Mercury retrograde shadow. And the area of the chart for you that hits is home and family. And so, your communication around your home life or kind of where you're living, also any plans around that could be a little wonky during this time. And also, family communications can get a little wonky when Mercury is in its shadow and then about to station retrograde here. So those are just kind of things to be aware of that you might want to, I'm going to say you want to be, making a plan, but a lot of times during the retrograde shadows and the retrograde cycle, our plans change. So it's more so about you going with the flow, being mutable. It's squaring, your Gemini energy. So there's definitely tension there. The last part of Gemini, the last half of Gemini is a lot more intense and challenging than the first half of Gemini. The first half of July. I'm hitting my wall for the day today. So the last half of July is more challenging than the first half of July for most of us, especially since we're working into that Mercury retrograde shadow and things are just starting to kind of shift a little bit there. Also Venus, being in Leo, we have the story that started last year in June. We had a Venus retrograde from July to September. Maybe it was even until October. No, Venus was in Leo till October. We had a story June to October last year. Venus retrograde in Leo that was July to September. And that story we're getting a little bit of a wrap up with this month in July. So think back to last summer. What were you working through in your relationships with others, your communication, especially because it was hitting in your communication house? You're repeating some of that lesson and learning deeper things through it. So the question kind of is, what have you gained? What have you gleaned from all of these experiences? How are you applying your wisdom? How are you moving forward in this next chapter? And then the retrogrades, Saturn, Pluto, and Neptune are all here kind of helping us under the surface evolve in a deeper way. I'm going to leave you there. I am definitely hitting my wall. I feel like I'm just going to blab and say things I don't remember. So I'll move on. But Gemini, good luck this month. And if you liked this video, hit like, subscribe to get notified on when I am posting these. And I also offer one-on-one tarot and astrology sessions. So make sure that you look at the description box for my email if that's something that you want to book. And you can find me at theladyofleisure.com and the sobercurator.com. All right, good luck. We'll see you guys next month.